It's time for episode 300, a very special episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. This time, my lovely bride, Amy, joins me to interview me about the lessons I've learned doing Delivering Marketing Joy. Hey there, and welcome to a very special, I hope, edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. This is episode 300, and it might surprise you that doing 300 episodes, my lovely bride, Amy, has actually never been a guest on Delivering Marketing Joy, and so we were trying to do something different this time, and so I thought it might be cool to give Amy the opportunity to sort of interview me about what 300 episodes look like. And so, Amy?
All right, well, welcome everyone. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.
It's such a privilege to be the 300th guest.
Absolutely, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, so 300 is a lot. First of all, congrats
Thank you.
and way to go on doing that. That takes a lot of stamina and a lot more grit than I think I have to make 300 happen. So that's really awesome. What does that milestone mean to you?
You know, I think that the idea of doing the 300 goes to something I'm super passionate about when it comes to content. And I think that so many people start some sort of idea about doing content and they're like, hey, I'm going to try it. And I'm going to try it for a couple weeks and see how it goes. And I think history tells you that that almost never works, right? The people that you admire, the people that you follow on social media didn't get Instagram famous with one post, right? Like Seth Godin, who's somebody I follow, has written probably 8,000 blog posts every single day. Gary Vaynerchuk did, 1,000 episodes of Wine Library TV. Casey Neistat did a vlog every day. The people who most of us admire, we admire them because they've shown up so consistently that they've kind of gotten onto more and more people's eyeballs. And so what 300 means is that I have not quit. and honestly, I think that's the key to success in most things in life. So when you say, like, I start doing the math and it's almost 6 years, every Wednesday. I don't know that I'm that good at it, but I think so many times the sort of the success in unlocking anything in life is to keep showing up.
Yeah, that seems true. What kind of lessons have you learned over the years?
Yeah, I think that the lessons for me with Delivering Marketing Joy, number one, if you're going to create content, I think doing something with a shared platform is cool, right? When I first started doing this, there wasn't a lot of sort of video interview style stuff. But what I found sort of almost accidentally was if I interview somebody like Mark Graham, right? Not only do I get to learn from somebody like Mark Graham, but he borrows my audience and I borrow his. And it lends credibility to both of us. And when you do that over time, that's sort of how you build things. So if you're building, like some sort of content piece, I think if you can do a shared platform of some sort, there's value in that. Number two, I think, again, consistency. At this point, people come to me and say, hey, you've done this thing. And I don't feel like I've done anything other than just keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of a big thing. And then I think finally just trying to figure out how do you make it better? Like try not to get in a rut, because one of the challenges of doing something over and over again is it's really easy to do it the same way you've always done it, right? And trying to continually, doing this show this way is different because I wanted to just challenge us a little bit. And then I guess the final lesson is if you want to show up, if you want to be consistent, I think it's about not what you can create, but what you can recreate. Like I see people where they do this amazing video for their company, but they do it one time because it was such an epic project and it was awesome. But the thing, if you look at the secret of most of Delivering Marketing Joy, is there's really only 3 components to it. There's the open with me on camera, there's the open that's pre-produced, and that took time. And then there's a live interview that we don't edit. So to put it together, it's really pretty easy. That's sort of the secret. It looks good, but it doesn't take a ton of time. Mm-hmm. And so those are sort of lessons I would say that I've learned that I would hope someone else would pick up on.
Pass on.
Yeah.
Somebody just getting started, where, what would you what would you tell them? Would you do it again?
Yeah, no, that's fair. What I would say is pick the thing you're most passionate about. Like, I love doing video. That's I do vlogs. I do, like, that's fun for me. And so because it's fun, it's easier to keep going, right? And then I heard something, and I don't even know if it's true. I heard it on a Gary Vaynerchuk Ask Gary V thing. He had said before I started that the average web show doesn't make it to episode 5. And so when I started, I decided I wanted 5 in the can because I wanted to blow that crap out of the water, right? And what that does is you get some of that, and then when I got the first episode out, I got a ton of positive feedback. Well, I had 4 weeks then, essentially if I was doing it every week, I had 4 weeks to go, okay, I need to make time and keep it rolling. And so that was what I would tell them. The other, and I didn't really mean to go off on this, but this, I think when you do this over time, be willing to ask people who you think will say no, right? Like, and I think the example I always use is Seth. Seth Godin was a guest on our show. He told me no probably 7 times.
Really?
And super nice. He's like the nicest writer. So like he tells you no and you're like, thanks. But he said to me, I was probably at about episode 20. I've told this story before. And Mark Graham coordinated a podcast where I got to be a part of that and interview him. And right before we went live, he said, yeah, I've seen your Delivering Marketing Joy. And I was like, holy shit, like he's somebody I admire. And he said, right before we went live, he said, keep doing that. In 3 years, you'll be glad you did. And at that point, I didn't have the next week done, And so I wrote him a thank you about that, and then asked him, I said, hey, I finally made it to episode 100. Will you be on the show? Fully expecting him to say no again. And he wrote me back within like 3 minutes and said, yeah, let's do it. And so I think we all have that voice that says we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, nobody's going to want to be on my show. But ask anyway. You'd be surprised how many people will say yes.
Okay, that's interesting. And you've had some really awesome people on. So you've said in the past, I've heard from others, you put out in the universe what you want. Who haven't you interviewed that you'd like to see on here? What?
Other than you.
Here I am. You put it out, and it came through.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that people would not be surprised. So Seth Godin was somebody who was I was very proud to have on. Jeff Hayden, I was very proud to have on. John Lee Dumas. There've been many, and obviously many rock stars in our industry. The people who I haven't had yet. Gary Vaynerchuk, number 1 and number 2. I'd love to have Gary V. Casey Neistat, somebody I admire. John Acuff is another person like that. And those are probably the top 3 that pop into my head right as I think about it. I think through a lot of really great authors are super gracious with their time. Joe Polizzi, Mike Michalowicz, those are guys who it's like, those are big deals, and they've come on and been and a couple times, which is really cool. So, but yeah, if I could get any of those 3, that'd be pretty cool.
Okay, so that's out in the universe then.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate that.
That will come back to help. What are you most proud of about Marketing Joy, Delivering Marketing Joy?
I think that, without being redundant, but consistency and just showing up on a regular basis, something I'm really proud of. But I think what I set out to do with Delivering Marketing Joy is create a piece of content that I wasn't selling, right? That I wasn't trying to sell you another pen or sell you a book or sell you whatever. It was 100% initially designed to just provide value to the audience. And especially at the time, I felt like content was very selly. And I think it still is to an extent. There's more people who are doing it generously. But I think that if you look at the totality of the episodes, we've been able to do it generously. We haven't been trying to hawk a product. We've been like, hey, we want to build credibility by building trust. And the way we build trust is just by providing value. So I'm proud of that. I think we've done that.
Yeah. How do you see how things have changed in the last 6 years? And do you see it, especially with COVID going on now, do you see it changing as you go forward?
Yeah, it has evolved. It's interesting. The overall flow of the show is maintained fairly consistently, except for some special episodes like this. And I think that part will stay somewhat consistent. We've upgraded to Zoom, which I think is better than, been an improvement. I hope that the COVID piece makes people more likely to be a guest because they're more and more comfortable being on video. There's a lot of people who've said no to me because they're like, I'm uncomfortable doing that sort of thing. And it's like all those people are now on Zoom meetings.
Right.
Right?
Whether they want to be or not.
Yeah, that's right. Honestly, that's the part I'm trying to figure out. One of the things that's evolved is, when we first started doing it, Dustin Haywood edited all of these pieces, and Josh, who's here, edited quite a few of them, and I've had people. One of the things that's evolved is I'm editing them now, and I'm kind of hoping to get that out of my hands at some point.
Put that in the universe.
Yeah, that's right. So, but I think that if you're doing something over time, constantly looking for the next thing is exactly what you should be doing. I actually really like doing something face to face, but it's hard to recreate, right? And so the more I could do this, I think is fun because you do get that energy. But yeah, I think those are the kind of the things I see.
Okay. And it's been 6 years. You think you'll be here in 6 more doing the same thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a hard question because I don't know that I ever set out to do 300 episodes. I set out to do 5 or 10. And I think the way that Jeff Hayden talks about this, he said that, and I think he said it on our show one time, that the way to achieve a big goal is to set it and forget it. So that you're like, if you set the goal and then you focus on the day to day, and so the way to get to 300 is to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and ultimately you'll look up at some point and be like, oh, I've done this many. And that's truly what's sort of happened here. So I don't know. Happy. I enjoy doing it still. I feel like I learn, because that's one of the things that was an unintended consequences, if I'm being honest. I wanted this to build my brand. I wanted this to promote the company. I wanted to provide value, but it became a class. I mean, you get some of the smartest marketers on the planet, authors, entrepreneurs, and it's hard not to pick something up. And so I love reading, I love learning, and so yeah, I want to keep doing it, so we'll see.
Okay, well that's all the questions I have for you today, so thank you for watching the 300th episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, and I hope you'll watch for many, many more.